What's up, Metabrewskis, and what's up in this video is a profile review of the latest 2025 Kove 800, one of the first bikes in the United States. And the proud owner is none other than the man, the legend, Gunny. So Gunny, where are you from, bro?
So I'm out of just outside Nashville, Tennessee.
Nice.
And I'm excited to be here. Pat and I have been working on this, getting it ready. I got a lot of plans for this year, for sure.
Yeah, man. So, okay, cool, man. So what were your first impressions? Or firstly, let's go back a step.
Sure.
Why did you choose this bike over other alternatives?
Okay. I've done a lot of dirt riding in my past and kind of got to the adventure side. And my first take was a Triumph Tiger 800 XC. And it was a street bike, in my opinion. So I'm coming from dirt, enduro. That bike was not the right fit for me. You and I were talking about lifting it up so many times in a day.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't the right fit for me. So I launched that. I did a lot of research on this and the 450 for the Kove. And I had to wait. You know, they had a release in China, and I've been watching them, and they released them in Europe. The bikes hadn't come here just yet, but just get some of the feedback, the specs. So I'm kind of a spec nerd. I look at the specs, the weights, where the weight's carried, and, you know, bikes really haven't changed a whole lot in the way they've been designed for quite a while. But Kove did take a lot of thought into the rider, where the weight is worn on this particular beast right here. So while I was waiting for this to be released, I bought a 450 Rally, and I've been running that. I love that bike. That is a very capable machine. I've had it on absolutely every terrain on this earth, and I don't have anything bad to say about it. So this was going to be my road bike. So again, looking at the specs, you know, roughly 400 pounds for the X. The Rally is a little bit lighter. It's missing a few pieces, convenience features on here. But I did want them to foot pegs, so I could bring a friend with me, carry the spouse with me. So while I'm breaking it in, I am keeping it pretty roadworthy. So I kind of put some stuff on here to keep it kind of well. I haven't added any weight as far as a skid plate or anything like that just yet until I get this engine broken properly. Then I'm going to go ahead and trick it out for the dirt and get it off road.
Well, it's the first time I've seen it. I think it looks fantastic.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I do think for aerodynamics on it in the aerodynamics, it looks very clean as far as the bike's concerned. So we've done a few things to it. I did put a high fender kit. We're doing some color sampling on it to see what color we might want to go with it. The kit included some steel fork guards, which is really wild. I've never had those on a bike, but definitely appreciate them. Yeah, those are solid.
I haven't seen that before. Dude, that's like, what are you going to run through a wall?
So I throw some fork savers on there to try to preserve those a little bit. Some bark busters, of course, are mandatory. Breakaway style mirrors as well.
Okay, you also went with the double takes, eh?
Yes, I do love that style.
Yeah.
So I will add a stronger plate to protect the front of the motor once I start taking it off road. We did take that stock muffler off, and that thing, I swear, I didn't put it on a scale, but it feels like that muffler weighs 20 pounds.
Really?
So I can't wait to drop that muffler and lose a little bit of weight on this bike. And to be honest with you, that's probably a huge swing, and the difference between this and the Rally is the weight of that muffler.
It looks huge, dude.
It is.
Like, it looks really big.
Even the mid pipe and the decap, man, is weighs more than we put a new exhaust system from the header on back, header and mid pipe, that included we decatted it, so got rid of the catalytic converter and put on a new pipe system. Only. Yeah, for off-road use only. Exactly. Yeah. And of course, man, you know, we a new ECU. All right, we're reflashing that, so we're kind of like, that's where we're at right now, as a matter of fact.
All right.
Working out a few bugs on that.
Nice, dude. So what were your first impressions? I mean, obviously, how many YouTube videos did you watch?
So
waiting 13 months for the bike to arrive.
13 months. So yeah, I put a deposit on this in like February of last year. And they weren't even accepting deposits. I kind of forced my money on Gary, telling him that I wanted the first one of these when they hit the country. So I've been waiting patiently for this bike to get here. Watching some other things come in the market, like the BMW's 900. I've ridden that bike. That is a very nice bike. Well, was impressed with that. I have been on the CF Moto's 800. That is not a bad bike. But again, I'm just stacking statistics against each other, and there's nothing as light as this bike. And as we discussed, when you're going to pick it up several times a day, to me, this was the only answer to that.
Yeah. So how much does this actually weigh?
So it's about roughly 400 pounds. The Rally is somewhere between 360 and 370, depending on how much fuel's in it. So it is, at the upper extremes of dirt bike territory, but you're also running 800 cc's and damn near 100 horsepower.
Nice, dude. And so what's the work list going to be like? Obviously, you put these, what do you call those?
Crash plugs.
Crash plugs.
Mm-hmm. So I am going to shed a little bit of weight before I'm finished, but I will add a little bit when I do add a better skid plate here. But I'm going to lose that in the muffler easy. I'm still going to be lower in weight than probably most 800Xs. We decided to go with a little bit narrow tire in the back, so we ran a 140 tire in the back. So that should give us a little more maneuverability. Should be a little more maneuver with a thinner tire in the back end. So I do quite a bit of adventure riding, enduro riding, 2-track. So this thing is going to be built for performance when I get done. And ultimately the suspension is probably going to be the last piece. If I haven't ridden enough to make a decision.
Yeah.
But, I'm considering maybe doing the suspension as well.
This is KYV suspension.
KYV?
Yeah.
So what did you wind up paying for this bike?
So, brand new, they were $9,999. So
I'm laughing because it's so cheap.
it is. The tariff did get us on the ride over. So
shit.
due to the time constraints, the tariffs did get us on the ride over. So it costed a little more than that. And I believe the Rally was going for about $11,900 was what they were asking for the Rally version of the bike. So again, compared to a BMW, compared to most things except for CF Moto, it's a fairly inexpensive bike for what it is.
Yeah. How did you find the CF Moto 800 versus this to ride? Like, what did you observe?
So last year I had the opportunity to ride the CF Moto at Get On ADV in South Dakota. So I did ride that bike, and that was my first experience. I thought it performed fairly well off-road. It is significantly heavier than this bike. It does come from some creature comforts like cruise control, heated grips and seats and such. But it was a tad bit heavier than I was probably looking for. I also had an opportunity to ride the pre-production version of this in Utah in Kove before they brought him over. And it was the Rally version, Gary's bike. And that thing was phenomenal. Just the weight, the power delivery. I would say, if anything, it had a hard time keeping traction because of the amount of power that was coming out of that bike.
Yeah. If you, so even though this looks like gas tank, it really is just a filler tube. And the actual gas tank is sitting in the center of the bike. So that center of gravity makes the bike much more nimble. There's your gas tank right there. 5 gallons. Most of it's sitting right down in this whole area right here.
So what is in here then?
Actually, your air filter is right here.
Yeah.
So I've got a high airflow air filter in it. But there's actually
This is a filler tube.
nothing in there.
And then just like body work.
Fairing.
That's great design, right? I mean, you want to have your fuel lower,
Yep.
right? Don't you?
And that's probably why it handles so much better, wears its weight so much better than some of the other bikes in its class, for sure.
And so you also have a Kove 450, right?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I put about 3,000 miles on that, almost exclusively off-road. I don't really ride that on the road too much. So, but I've ridden that all across the country, Colorado, Utah, Idaho, Oregon. Last summer, I just took a trip out west and hit everything with that bike. And it was a blast. I loved it.
So how many of these units actually came into the country?
I want to say it was 135, and they've been sold out since January.
Really?
Yeah, but they finally just got here. So 135 came in. Every one of them was claimed, even with they basically had to increase the price $1,000
Really?
based on 10% tariff on China. So yeah, and nobody backed out. You know, everybody's got their bike, and
there's still a list waiting for the second shipment.
yeah, there's a waiting list for the second shipment that'll be here sometime this summer.
All right. And so how often do shipments come in, Pat? Do you have any idea?
It ranges. You know, it really does. It just depends. Like, I mean, these bikes aren't just, these are worldwide. Really are. You know, they're big in Europe. Of course, you got the Asian market. And so the U.S. being one of the last ones to get these particular ones. And, the 450s, the U.S. was one of the first ones. But, which I think is a good thing actually, because a lot of the bugs are worked out, you know, by the Europeans. So they gave their feedback. Kove is super responsive to make changes. And so we just get a better version here when they do come.
So then question for you, Gunny. So a lot of talk about dealership support for Kove.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on that? I mean, obviously you would have done a lot of research on that. You've had a Kove 450. Now you got the 800. So how much of a myth is that, like dealer support?
Here's my opinion. So there are a lot of closer dealers. You talk about the Japanese bikes have a lot of dealers. KTM has a lot of dealers. I speak from my personal experience that most of the time when you go over in there, you still have to order it. You still have to wait several days for it to show up. They don't really carry much in stock anymore. So I contact Gary out there in Utah, and they can have parts to me in a couple of days. So I've actually put my 450 into a couple trees, and I've actually destroyed the ignition on my 450. The tower actually collapsed and crushed my ignition on my bike. And I was able to get a new ignition. I was able to get a new control cluster for it. I haven't had anything so far that I wasn't able to get some support from Kove here in America.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. And that's for the record, everybody.
Service center.
Yeah. And you're a service center as well, right? Yeah. Well, I think it looks fantastic, man.
Well, thank you.
I really think it does. I mean, I had an 890 and, yeah, not the bike for me. Hence now I have the beast. But, yeah, I'm hearing a lot of good things about this, and I'm sure this bike's going to sell really well. All right. Any final comments, dude?
No, just come check us out at Gunny's Great Adventures. You'll see this transform into its final figure and, be severely abused.
That's the way it should be. All right, Motor Brewskis, we'll see you in the next video. Don't forget, let us know what you think of the Kove 800 in the US for the first time, and let me know what you think down in the comments below. Motor Brewski out. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and most importantly, share it with your favorite Motor Brewski.